It affects all spectrums of healthcare, from pharmacies to DME to home health agencies to hospices. It's going to affect everything.
Hospice of Holland announcing it's no longer accepting patients. The executive director says that decision was made to offset the financial losses, partly because of the Affordable Care Act. But in the end, he tells us that closure was inevitable.
Fox 17's Jessica McMaster has more on the impact the closure is expected to have.
For several years, Hospice of Holland has provided around-the-clock end-of-life care for its patients. It's a service that Executive Director Tori Hoosman says will soon be a thing of the past.
We already are losing money on operating a hospice residence, but we've been able to financially sustain those losses up until about 2 years ago.
Hoosman says the sequester docked about 2% off their revenue, and now with the Affordable Care Act, he says they're expecting to lose even more.
The biggest issue under the Affordable Care Act is we know that we're going to see cuts in reimbursement. It's going to be at least 12%. We projected out what those cuts are going to do to the organization long term, and we realized that in a short period of time, we're going to be pulling money from our savings in order to keep the house open.
With this information before them, the board of directors voted to shut down Hospice House. Hoosman says while the cuts from the Affordable Care Act sped up the process, it's not the sole reason they're shutting down the facility. He says a majority of their financial resources go towards Hospice Home, even though it only brings in 13% of their revenue.
Instead of closing today, we may have been closing in 2018, 2019. You know, it's not a sustainable model long term.
Jessica McMaster, Fox 17 News.
And their plan tonight, Hospice House says it will stop taking patients by the end of this month, shutting down entirely in about 4 weeks after that. The people who are currently living at the facility will then be moved to other hospice facilities.